All right. So while we are not live, we are now recording. There's a big story of why we are not live today, but I will go through that while we're painting. So today we are going to be painting our summer edition of our trees. We've done winter and spring already this year, so I figure we do need to get summer done. So I had to get it done today. So today, joining us, expecting it to be live, but it's not, but we're still going to record it. Joining us today, of course, we have my mom. We also have my mom's neighbors, Nancy and Laura. And so they're going to be painting along with us. I don't have the benefit of having questions from y'all today, but feel free to leave them in the comments if you have any. So they have been informed they need to ask a lot of questions so that maybe it'll answer some of yours. So since we don't have to wait for anyone to join, we're just going to go ahead and get started here. So we're going to start with getting some color on our palettes. So our fancy dancy paper plate palettes. So we are going to need white, and we're going to need quite a bit of white. So feel free to load up on the white, guys. We are also going to need yellow. I am using cadmium yellow deep hue. So we're going to put some of that on there.
It's yellow.
It is yellow.
Just say yellow.
Well, some people like to know specifically what kind of yellow I'm using.
I'm just talking. So.
We're also going to be using orange, which is cadmium orange deep hue.
We had kids with us a couple times, and so we have to help the kids.
Yeah. And then we're going to be using, these are all just for the background.
It's nice to have adults that can do their own.
We're going to use Prism Violet. Here's the Prism Violet. These are all our sunsetty colors. And then last one for the background, this is Brilliant Blue. But again, any blues, purple, orange, yellow that you like, go ahead and use. All right. There's that. All right. And today also, Mom has provided us with some wine, some juice, some adult juice. And being that we are all over the age of 21, we are allowed to imbibe. All right. So once we all have paint, we're going to go ahead and get started. So I decided that the sun wasn't going to be directly behind the tree this time because I didn't want the tree to block it. So I put the sun kind of over here on kind of the bottom left third. So I started by taking on one of my larger brushes a bunch of white.
The big one? Or the middle one?
Yep. I started the big brush. I took a bunch of white and I just started drawing a circle. Just a circle of white. You're not going to see a whole lot on your canvas because your canvas is white theoretically, but just a circle. And you don't want to make it too huge, but it can be kind of big because we're going to go over that in yellow also. Now, without cleaning off my brush, I am then going to take some yellow.
Do I need bigger?
No, it's fine. Because we're going to be making it bigger and smaller as we go too.
Okay.
So I'm going to take some yellow on my brush now. Now remember, this is the background, so we want our paint layers to be kind of thin, but you don't want to see the white of the canvas, but you also don't want it to be slopped on there thick because we're going to want it to be fairly dry at some point. So with the yellow, I'm going to go back and forth, and I am going to do just horizontal back and forth above and below our sun. Kind of going into the sun, but I'm leaving kind of a line of white on my canvas there. It will get filled in, but for right now, we're just going to go in with the yellow and go back and forth.
Are you going all the way, or are you leaving a space?
Leaving a little bit of a white stripe between my two yellow stripes. Perfect. Then I'm going to, again, without cleaning out my brush, I'm going to take a little bit more white and I'm going to go into that middle section. It's gonna end up a little yellow because we didn't clean off the brush, but it's gonna have that nice gradient. I'm adding a little more white, especially to where my sun wants to be. And keep drawing back in that sun with the white, because the sun is actually not yellow. The sun emits white light. We really can see that come through in a sunset. All right, so once you have your yellow and light yellow and white down, we will go back to the sun and make that even more white later. But again, I am not going to clean off my brush. I am dipping into the orange, and I'm going to start at the top of my top yellow and just kind of go back and forth, letting the paint mix on the canvas. I'm going to go up a little bit, and then I'm going to come down a little bit, and that will blend the colors on the canvas. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab more orange. I'm going to do that on the bottom, but I don't want, I'm going to do the same exact thing on the bottom. But I'm going to leave some white at the bottom so that we can put some grass down.
Grass, we got it.
So we're putting down here like this. A little bit yellow. Yep.
Yeah, just going back and forth.
Yeah, watch Laura too, because she can help you.
Oh yeah, she knows what she's doing.
I can follow directions.
You can keep going back and forth and go up into the yellow a little more to blend that. And it's okay if you go back up into your sun. We can go back over that too. I like that. It's gonna look like you have clouds. All right. So now we are going to rinse off our brush. Once you are happy with your orange section and your yellow section, we're going to go ahead and give the brush a really good rinse. You can splash your water all over the place. It's fine.
The plastic. Well, and I was filling cups of water earlier today, and I made this comment like, "Oh, well, these are not kids that are going to spill.
Yeah.
Cats that are going to spill." And so I go to the sink to proceed to fill these up and fill the whole cup up and knocked it right over. Okay.
We don't have cats to knock it over, but we do
have each other.
All right. So once you have your brush nice and rinsed off, give it a little dab on your paper towel, dry it off a little bit.
If you need paper towels,
yeah, I was gonna say, can I have a paper towel? Thank you.
There we go. So the next part we're going to do is the blue at the very top. So we're going to take our blue, and we're going to start up at the top and bring it down. Again, don't bring it all the way down to the orange because we still need to put some purple in there. But you're going to bring it down a little bit, however far you feel. And, if you want more purple, don't bring it down as far. But if you want less purple, bring it down a little further. But I'm going to leave mine right about there. And then again, I'm not going to rinse off my brush. I'm going to dip into my purple. And I'm going to start where the blue ended, so that they mix. And I'm going to bring the purple down. I'm going to go up a little into the blue. And then I'm going to go down with the purple so that it meets the orange. Now this is a really just great way to paint a sunset too. So if you are thinking, I want to paint a sunset, this is your tutorial right here. There's other things you can add to it, cloudy elements and things like that, but this is the basics in a beautiful, colorful sunset. All right, once you have your purple down, I'm gonna go ahead and give my brush another rinse because I feel like I need some more of that orange yellow action happening. So I'm rinsing off my brush because I don't want the orange to mix with the blue and the purple on the brush. If it mixes on the canvas a little bit, that's fine. I just want it to be intentional rather than getting all muddy on my brush. So I'm gonna rinse my brush, give it a really good dab on my paper towel. Try and get all that blue off. We have a lot of blue on my brush. Okay, that's better. I'm gonna go back into my orange and blend it a little more with my purple. Get up into the purple there. If you want your sun to be a little more prominent, you can add a lot more white to your sunny area.
So far, so good. Straight lines. We're good.
Easy peasy. This part is the easy part. It's very relaxing just to draw, just to watch the paint, you know, make the gradients on the canvas. I like it. Making my sun a little more prominent. And I'm really gonna blend that out with a little bit of yellow, just a touch on the sides. Side. And again, you can make it as noticeable or as not as you want by adding the white. You can even add some white over here for a little bit of cloud action. Be very conservative with the white though, because it will tend to desaturate your colors, but if you're intentional about where you put it, it can add something. There we go. I just added a little more orange.
I can't make a round circle.
I can't either.
Yeah, circles are hard, but don't worry, because most of
the sun isn't perfectly round. You see it in a sunset anyway.
Most of your background is gonna end up covered anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect.
Mine got kind of big.
So go in with just keep working it. So bring it and then go in with more of these strokes on the top and bottom. Keep working it. I really
yours
love
is
your
really
sunset,
nice
Mom.
too.
Let's see yours. Get paint on your finger.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's good.
What's wrong with yours?
Mom's is great too. Here, show
Yeah.
Nancy yours. Yours is very impressionist.
Oh, very pretty.
Yeah.
Yours is
Here's
pretty too.
Laura's.
You can
Thank
show the
you.
world, Laura.
I can
if you
show
want.
the world. Ta-da.
Beautiful. I love it. You gave a curve to your sunset,
I
so
did.
you're not a flat earther then.
No.
Me either.
No. Though it might be fun to live in that world.
The world of delusion. All right, so excuse me. We do have our background is pretty doing pretty good. So the next thing we're gonna add is let's go in.
Cleaning our brush.
Yes, you're gonna clean off your brush, give it a good wipe. You can set that brush aside for now. Let's go in with our regular green, just to kind of place where we want our grass to be. So you can pass that around now. Now, if you're using an easel, or even if you're painting flat, for the grass, I'm gonna turn my painting upside down so that I don't have to like try and get underneath where the easel is, and so it's closer to you. It's easier to work with. You're gonna go back in. Somebody is texting me. It might be people wondering why I'm not live. All right. So with the green, we're gonna be making vertical strokes.
So I got the mid-size one?
I'm using the same brush.
We're gonna change brush.
I thought I was too, but I decided we're just gonna be placing the color for now. So we're gonna load your brush up with green, and we're gonna make vertical strokes. We're gonna go downwards, and if you have a light touch, you'll notice that it kind of shows a little green grassiness.
Are you going up into the orange?
Yes, I am coming into the orange just a little bit.
Okay.
Not too terribly much. And you're going to do that just all across the bottom, which is now the top of your canvas. And this green that I am using, it is light green permanent. You can use any green that you fancy, but that's the one that we're using today. This one is a little translucent, but we'll fix it because we're going to be adding a lot more layers. Tall grace. Yeah, I do too. All right. Here we go. All right. Grass. Easy. Then we're going to go ahead and go in with a lighter green, and we're going to add a little dimension to it. This is lime green. You don't need as much of the, well, no, you can load up your, because we're going to be using it for the leaves too. So lime green, and just do the same thing right over. I didn't rinse off my brush. We're just going to do the same thing right over what you just did. Letting those colors mix on the canvas. You might not even see a whole lot of difference if you use a different green. It might just add just a little bit of dimension. And while everybody is working on that and getting their grass all on there, so it has been a few months since we did any kind of live stream or paint along with me. And April kind of got away from me. My mom and I went up to visit my sister in Chicago. We both got vaccinated. Then we went to go see my sister in Chicago. And then it was Mother's Day. And then we started a house renovation. My husband and I are renovating our house. Which is why we are at my mom's today. And so, because there's just, I don't know where anything is, there's no space in my house that I can do it. And mom's internet is not as good as mine, and YouTube couldn't hold the stream, which is why we're not live. So, but I knew I needed to get this summer tree work done for you guys because we already did winter and spring, and we're gonna be doing fall in the fall. So, so that's the story of why we're
so
here.
we're cleaning our brush.
I cleaned off my brush. Yes, give it a good wipe off on your paper towel, and then we can, from there, once we have our grass the way we like it, we can flip the canvas again, and we'll start working on our tree.
There's the challenging piece.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not as challenging.
Mom,
I always have trouble getting the branches to look the way I want them.
right?
I got things.
Mm.
We'll see how it goes.
All right. Okay, so for our tree, we're gonna need some browns. So I have 3 browns. I like to use a lot of different colors and dimension and all that. So I am using, my light brown is raw sienna. Some of that. it along. Then my medium brown is burnt sienna. And my dark brown is burnt umber. So again, use whatever browns you like. You can use just one brown and add elements of white or black or whatever to give them different shades, but those are the three that we are using here today. So let everybody get their dark. Yeah.
So this is the brush.
Yes, you're gonna want a round brush or just that size. Yeah, just like a medium or not too small kind of brush.
And you said a round brush.
Yeah, I mean you can use that one. You can use any brush you like.
Got away from me.
So what I like to do is I start with the lightest brown. And I'm going to start by drawing just the center of my trunk. So I'm going to start at the bottom. And I'm just going to go straight up to about where I want it to split. And then I'm just going to draw like a split there and a split there. It's just going to look like a Y right now. It's nothing too difficult. Then from there I can start fleshing out how I want my trunk to look. So you can kind of go down with a swoopy motion that way and that way. Add the roots down in there. Go. And then for my two main branches, you're going to want them to get thinner as they get closer to the top. So maybe add a little bit more thickness at the middle.
I don't know if anybody's watched your posts before and watched Kimberly's and how she always puts an animal in hers.
Yes, my sister always puts an animal somewhere in her painting. You're the one, you had the swing
Yeah.
always. I did add a branch for you to add your swing this time. So again, you can add another branch if you want. So Mom likes to add a branch coming off the side here so that she can do a swing.
Mom adds a lot of branches.
Yeah, but you can add as many or as few branches as you want right now, but we're going to be going over a lot of it in green, so I usually add branches at the end, but for right now we're just adding the main ones. And if you pay attention to your brush strokes and how the paint moves, you can really direct the paint to have lights and darks and kind of make it that tree barky looking, even just with the one brown, but we're going to be adding more brown so it'll get even more defined. So there, I like that trunk. I think my trunk's looking all right. If you did the other two trees and you want to match your other two trees, feel free. If you are kind of going rogue and doing different types of trees every time, that's cool too. All right. So then, after you're done with the base, then I'm going to take I'm not going to rinse off my brush. I'm going to take my next darkest, so the middle brown, and we are going to start adding shadow areas. So wherever you think that the tree should have shadow, like down near the roots, you're going to just start lightly adding those in. You don't want to totally cover your lighter color, even in the shadow areas, but you can define where those are going to be. And do that. So like on your branches that are reaching towards the sky, somewhere towards, the bottom of those branches should be a little darker. The underside
Shouldn't it be darker on the other side of the sun?
Yes, so like the middle of the tree should also be a little darker.
Okay.
Now, in this particular painting, we're pretending that we do also have a light source coming from the front because we didn't want a silhouette. But But yes, so if the sun is behind it, it's going to have a nice wraparound light. So the light, you should have lighter on the sides of the tree, maybe, than the middle. So darker in the middle. You can do your roots however you like them. I had fun with the roots in the example painting when I was doing that one. Go up in my top branches a little bit. Now remember also your branches that are really at the top, they're going to end up being covered with leaves, shaded with leaves. So those might want to be darker also. And then once you have laid down those, then you can go in with your darkest brown and make sure that your lighter colors do show through. So you don't want to cover everything, but you can go in and really define your darkest areas. So maybe the middle of that tree. And down by the roots. And remember, this is not going to be the be-all, end-all when we're done with these three parts of the tree. We are going to go back in and add more stuff to the trunk and everything too. So it doesn't have to be perfect quite yet. And also remember that it is your art. There is no right or wrong. No mistakes, only happy accidents. I love Bob Ross. I have been watching so many Bob Ross videos. It's so relaxing. And I'm really using my brush strokes to make the bark textured. Yeah. And once you are finished with that, you can go ahead and rinse the brush. All right. And give it a good dry off on my towel. And then we're going to be going back to our big brush, because it's time to start adding leaves to our tree.
Okay.
Leaves. With the big brush, we always use a little.
I know, but
Going rogue today. Huh?
this, you can use whatever you want, but this is what we're going for.
Oh.
And so I'm going to show you how to do it.
Okay.
So we are going to start with the light green. We're going to go with the lime green, the light green, and that is going to be our underpainting for it. So with your big brush,
Got my big brush.
we are going to just start dabbing, and do it quickly, because then you're going to get these cool like effects where it like looks like it's leaves, and do it real quick, real light.
Yeah, make your tree fab. All over, right?
Yep, all over, wherever you want leaves to be.
So you make the shape of your tree. The leaves are forming the shape of your tree.
Yes. And you're gonna have some areas where the paint is thicker and some areas where the paint is thinner, and that is also giving us depth and dimension to our leaves. Just make your tree however big or small you want it. Add those leaves. I have my little branch sticking out here, so I'm going to add some leaves over there too. I'm going to connect it up because I've decided that that's how it needs to be. Okay. Once you have dabbed that, I'm not rinsing off my brush. I'm getting the darker green, and I'm doing the same thing, going over it again. You're going to want some of that light green to show through, but just dabbity dab all over.
ASMR all of a
It
sudden.
really is. Well, and this part also, so in the past, and if you want to, you can do this part finger painting. We had, one of my friends had her littlest girl with her when she came over once, and she did the finger painting. So she just used her fingers to do the leaves, and it was great.
Well, she was
I can see that too.
well, and then she was kind of hilarious because
Then she mushed everything together. She ended up with a winter cave,
yeah,
but it was still awesome.
yeah, it was cute.
And she had fun, so that's the important part.
Yes.
It's amazing how well kids do on like the trees and things too.
Yeah. Cool. And you could look at that and say, look how pretty. And it is pretty, but we're going to add a lot more dimension to this thing. So I am now going to, you know what? You can rinse your brush if you like. You don't have to. I already made the commitment because I dipped my brush in water. But I'm not going to worry about it being too rinsed off, because the next thing we're going to do now, it's sunset. And so at sunset, the colors of the sunset start coming through on the leaves and everything. So I'm going to go back to my yellow. I'm going to pick up my yellow. And I'm not going to do a whole lot, but I'm going to add some highlights. So I'm going to dab even lighter than I was. I'm going to dab some yellow, especially where the yellow of the sun is hitting. Dab some yellow into that tree. It also makes it so that, you know, you can kind of see things coming through the background, or, you know, through the trees, the light through the trees. We're adding highlights. You don't want to go too crazy because you don't want to ruin your green color, but it can really be pretty. And add some around the top of the tree where the sun might be shining through up there.
Like Nancy and I looking at Corinne and Laura because well, what are they doing?
What's happening there?
Green. I haven't switched colors yet.
That's okay. If you need to
You
slow
keep going with
down,
your green.
I can slow down, and you can keep going with your green. No, there's no wrong answers, but yeah, if you need me to slow down, I can pause for a minute. And if you have a question, I can totally answer that too.
Now it looks like on your sample, you don't have that much sunset shining through, whereas I seem to have a lot of sunset.
I have
shining
more
through.
than you do. I have a much smaller tree.
Oh, that's
Oh,
beautiful.
That's a beautiful tree. I like the tree.
So here's how mine is coming right now.
Oh, okay.
But
So-
and part of it is because I layer a lot.
Yeah.
So and this is lots and lots of, is like 6 layers.
Yeah.
So
Oh, you got more branches in there too.
yeah, I add the branches at the end.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So,
Oh, very
And
nice. Look
so-
at that.
so spread it out a little. I spread mine out, but that's what
I covered my branches.
Well, you're supposed to
Well,
cover
that's all right.
That's
But
okay.
You're gonna be adding some more in.
Yeah.
I think she said.
So if you want to add another layer of the greens to kind of fill it in more, that's one way to do it. But we are going to be adding more sunsetty colors to add more light coming through. So you can, and on this one, I did the light green, the dark green, then I did the yellow, then I did the orange, then I added a little bit of purple, then I went back in with some dark green, and then I went back in with a little more light green.
Gotcha.
So like, yeah, there's lots of
Just
layers.
keep going back.
So now what I'm doing is I'm rinsing off this brush, and I'm going to switch to a little bit of a smaller brush. So the next smaller brush that you have. So whatever shape you like, whatever. And I'm going to add orange. I'm not going to go too crazy with the orange because that will mix with the green weirdly if you go too crazy.
Mud there.
But I am going to add some orange so that there's more sunset coming through the tree a little bit. And it also will add shadowy areas.
Yeah.
Because
do I have to add the orange?
do you have to? No. You don't have to do anything. This is your art. But it just adds more of that sunset feel.
And I'm just kind of digging the way this is looking.
All right. If you dig it and don't want to ruin it, that's that's totally up to you.
Sometimes I tend to,
Overthink,
go with
overdo.
her, and then I overdo, and then it turns out looking overdone.
Just a smidge. And then I'm kind of, with the orange, I'm kind of blending it with the yellow so that it doesn't look so orange. I'm not adding any more yellow, I'm just kind of putting it in the same spots as the yellow. And then pressing a little harder to let it mix. And then I'll probably go back in with more yellow because I want to. So, and then you'll start seeing it's filling in even more. So like, yeah, it's becoming more and more opaque as we go. So I am gonna rinse off my brush and add more yellow because I feel like I added too much orange. But if you're happy with the way yours is looking, you don't have to do everything I do, because if you're happy with it, you're happy with it. You do you want
You're
more
a
lime?
stealer?
No. I just wanted a little touch.
You're probably going to need more lime because
No, okay.
we're gonna add more
There you go.
green colors to our tree once we are done with our sunsetty stuff. So I'm going in and adding the yellow where I want my highlights. But it is not fall, so we are going to go back in with more greens so that it doesn't look like a fall tree. That's coming up later. So I am going to now just wipe. I'm not going to rinse the brush, I'm just going to wipe it. And I'm going to go back in with my light green first. Get that all dabbed around. Nice and thick. The leaves can be nice and thick because we're not going to be adding another shape on top of them. So. Especially adding the light green, my lime, to, again, the highlight areas, the areas that I want to be a little lighter. And I do need more lime. That's too much more, but a little more. And then after you add more lime green, you can go in with more of the darker green for your shadowy areas. Lots and lots of layers in this tree. And now that my paint is getting even thicker, the texture is really coming through too. The way that I'm doing it with the dabbing, because I'm just kind of lightly dabbing and letting the paint kind of do its thing with the texture. There we go. That looks more like a summer tree. A little less fall colors. Brilliant. All right, so I'm rinsing off my brush real good. Dab it off on the paper towel. Now, you're gonna want to take your very smallest brush and dip it into either your medium or your dark brown. And very lightly, you can go in and start adding branches in random areas. Just kind of little lines poking through your leaves. Some people would use a palette knife for this, the edge of a palette knife, if they wanted really straight branches in there, but I like the branches are weird shaped, you know, they're not straight. So we're just gonna go ahead and add some round shapes there. and short little lines because only a little bit is going to show through. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to rinse off my new tiny brush. Now, our tree has a lot of dimension and color in it, but our grass is kind of meh. So, and our bark. So we're going to go back in with our smaller, not the smallest brush you have, but like a smaller round brush. And we're going to start adding, I'm going to start adding a little bit of sunsetty colors into my bark. So I'm going to start with the yellow, and I'm going to put that in the areas, just a little bit in the areas where I want the highlights, where the sun might be shining.
No, you have more bark.
Well, you can add a few streaks. If you can add, well, you can use your smallest brush if you want. If your tree doesn't have as much bark. Go. And then I'm just going to give it a wipe, give my brush a wipe on my paper towel, and I'm going to go in with just a little bit of orange, kind of near the yellow spots. And then you can choose whichever brown you want and continue to just kind of add layers into your bark and smooth out those strokes. So I'm going to use my light brown to start, and I'm going to smooth out my paint strokes, let the paint mix on the canvas. And that way I'm just kind of letting the tree decide. I'm letting my paint decide exactly my shapes and things. There we go, smooth that out a little bit. Here. And then once I'm done smoothing, I'm going to take my darkest color again, and I'm going to go into the shadowiest areas. I'm going to make sure that these strokes are pretty smooth too, because that will add contrast. We want contrast. Some of these rooty areas. Here, and there. Use a little. And again, you can use those same colors, the yellow, the orange, all the browns, to really define your tree however you like. Just get it to a point where you are happy with it.
Concentrating.
Concentrating. Oh, and I have a happy little accident right there. I guess my branch is going to be bigger. Let's just go ahead and make that branch a little bigger.
Oh, that makes it more of a climbing tree type thing.
There you go.
Yeah. See, no mistakes, just happy accidents. Beep, beep, beep. And we will paint. Ba, ba, ba. There we go. Yeah, see, that's fine. Just a bit thicker of a branch. All right. And then I'm rinsing the brush. Okay, so now we're gonna go back to the grass. So I am going to flip my canvas. Upside down tree. Alright, so I'm going to take my kind of medium brush that I have, smaller than my biggest brush. Doesn't matter which one, as long as it's smaller than your biggest. And we're going to start adding dimension back into the grass. So, what did I do over here? I think I added a little bit of yellow, maybe just a smidge of the lightest brown, and a smidge of orange. So I'm just going to do a little bit of yellow to start. And we're just here and there, not all the way across, but here and there. I'm going to add some yellow into my grass. Well, you know, and in the summertime, all of our grass turns brown, you know, so we're going to lean into that too. Go. And then I'm going to add even less, but I'm going to add a little bit of the orange, but even less of that. So really only here and there. Maybe a little more of it, maybe right beneath your tree where a shadow might be, because the orange will darken things. And I'm going to add my light brown.
And don't worry if you add too much, you can always go over it with more green. So
We are going to be going back over this with more greens.
Yeah.
So,
no worries about.
and your lightest brown, again, mostly in the areas that are going to have shadow, that are going, you know, possibly beneath where your thickest branch, like leaves are, possibly right beneath your tree roots. And then I'm going to use more light green permanent. So ladies, if you need more light green, more of the darker green, it's right in the middle there. Lots of green in this. And I'm going to go directly over what I just did, only I'm going to kind of go all the way across again this time. Because you want more green grass. And you can brush it up, brush your green a little bit into your roots, because there would be grass all around your roots, wouldn't there? So you want your grass to kind of come up your roots a little bit. And if you want to, you can go back in with more lime green if you want to add some lighter spots. But that is 100% up to you. I'm just going to add a little bit on the edges. Maybe back in the background where I still see white of my canvas, which I don't want. See this? My mom keeps stealing paint from my plate.
Just like your food, too.
It's not that.
There we go. And this was a pretty easy tree. You know, if you're still working, still work. Make sure you get it to how you like it. Mom already added her swing. I know, like I said, my sister likes to add an animal in there somewhere. You know, so go ahead and make it your own. Go rogue a little bit if you like. If you want to, you could add like a couple little flowers, like a pretty pink or purple kind of flower. But yeah, they are looking good. Look at that, Ma. I just love your sunset, Mom. So yeah, that was our summer version of the tree. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in any comments. Ladies, do any of you have any questions?
What kind of magic is it that you got me to create a tree? That looks like a tree.
It is the fun of art, man. I'm telling you. I discovered I liked painting during the pandemic. It relaxed me, and so I just like sharing that with everybody because I find it so relaxing, and it's just one of those things I feel like the world needs more.
Yeah, no kidding. Beautiful.
How's yours coming, Nancy?
Yeah. It's gorgeous. It's just a smaller tree.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Because then you're letting your beautiful sunset come
through.
through.
It looks like you've got dimension to your leaves.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Brilliant. So yeah, feel free to continue to keep working on yours.
Give me some of that pink.
Give you some of the pink. I knew you would want pink. That's why I brought it. The only reason I brought that color today is I knew you would want it.
He's gonna do a flower.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm going to do it.
I can help you. What do you want flowers in your tree or do you want on the ground?
Yeah.
On the ground? Yeah, use your small brush and just do little dabs and do little clusters of dabs, like dabs here and here. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Yep. Whenever you look at your painting and you're like, I'm super happy with this, then you know it's time to stop. I think I like I like aspects of my original, and then I like aspects of this one better. Like I like my leaves on the one I just painted better here, but I like my trunk better here.
There you go.
So, you know. All right. So please send me any, if you decide to paint the summer tree, send me pictures. You can send them to my email, which is linked in the video, or you can send them via Facebook message to Rin Studio Art on Facebook, which is also linked in the description. And I will post our paintings from today also. So I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope to be live again soon, and for sure in the fall for the fall tree. But hopefully I will be able to do an actual live video again very soon. My house is almost done with the renovations, not quite yet. So we'll see what happens. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Oh yes, the last part. That's the part I always forget as an artist. But don't forget to sign your painting. And you can sign it wherever you like. I'm going to put mine right above part of my trunk. And your artist's signature can be whatever you want. There we go. Mine is signed.
Okay.
So, well, thank you all. And thank you for watching. Thank you, ladies, for joining me. Have a wonderful day, everybody.